Good morning. Good morning. I don't know that I can stop any disruption here. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry to disrupt this engaged conversation. Also, I feel sorry because it's so much more fun to talk to everybody around you, so I feel sorry for what I'm doing. So first of all, I want to welcome everyone and thank you so much for joining us this morning to celebrate the 2024 Presidential Awards for Distinguished Service in International Education awardees, who are already sitting on the stage. My name is Valeria Bertacco, and I serve as Vice Provost for Engaged Learning at the university. Now, let me tell you for a second what is a Presidential Award for Distinguished Service in International Education, which, by the way, we call PADSI because we don't have the time to say all those words. So the PADSI Awards was established in 2017. We are on the 7th year. And it celebrates and recognizes extraordinary effort by our faculty and staff in advancing international education for our students. I'm sure you're all well aware about how central an international education is in delivering a well-rounded experience for students and to support their growth as global citizens, which at this time and age requires skills to be able to navigate a career because everything is with global interaction. Each year, our institution offers hundreds of unique opportunities to study abroad, to do research abroad, to do experiences abroad, to do a MAP project abroad, working with a company. Thank you to the work of our passionate faculty and staff who are dedicated to organize this rich program. And it's not an easy feat. So every year, we award two individuals, a faculty member and a staff member. This year, we received 18 spectacular nominations. So spectacular that even this morning, some of the committee members were saying how much they struggled to identify only two awardees. And I want to take the opportunity to recognize and thank the selection committee members who are here with us today, and also the one who couldn't make it this morning. Now, I spoke to you, or to a subset of you, last year around this time, where we celebrated the 2023 awardees. At that time, you probably remember that we had a recent pandemic, and we were just coming back in full swing into engaging internationally from the pandemic. So during 2023, we organized a strategic plan for global engagement, which was very ambitious. I can tell you my team continuously reported up to me that maybe the goals were a little bit too aggressive. And I feel like if we don't have aggressive goals, why is it just a strategic plan? No need. Anyway, in the first year of the program, which is this past academic year, we promoted early awareness in international education so that students, as soon as they come to Michigan, they know these opportunities are there for them. We made contact with 6,000 incoming students to let them know the rich offering we have. We also organized a workshop series and grant for first-year undergraduate students. They will come and take free workshops, do a homework to learn about international education, and then we give them a small grant to lower the cost of doing an experience abroad. That's called Go Blue, Go Abroad. We had a grant program for faculty who want to organize a faculty-led experience abroad for students, and we developed a guide on best practices and how to make it concretely and practical. Last year, we also launched Passport Day. We had 200 students who never had a passport before in their life come and do a passport, all the paperwork and the picture and every document that you need to do to secure a passport with us. We had 200 people from Ann Arbor, from Dearborn, and from Flint. And a passport is kind of the first step if you're thinking about going abroad. So it felt like we were removing that barrier right away. We launched the first generation Education Abroad Scholarship for first generation students who are never been abroad. And I honestly thought that during our first year, we would launch maybe 3 of our plan initiatives. We launched 13. And the reason we launched 13 is because many of you help us on their spare time that I'm sure is abundant, and help us develop and deploy this initiative. So it's really a heartfelt thanks to all of you for helping us implement this plan so quickly and so abundantly. As we start the second year of the strategic plan, President Ono declared this to be the year of global engagement, along with democracy and civic engagement. And in that context, I would like to tell you, we, the University of Michigan, send over 5,000 students abroad every year, which seems a great number. It's among the top in the country. However, it's only 10% of the Michigan students, right? So we are 90% of the students who are not going abroad. 17% of our students are international. We have 237 international agreements with other institutions, and over 36% of the publication that our faculty did last year had an international collaborator. Now, as we launch into the year of global engagement, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I really think we need to take a step back and approach our collective international engagement with curiosity, an open mind, and a desire to learn from our partner, from their culture, from their practices, and most important, from their values, which may be very different from us. Putting aside judgment, putting aside some of the beliefs we grew up with, which are really hard to put aside. And only if we can do that, then we can understand others and we can learn from them. It's a challenging effort. It's definitely very challenging, but it pays big dividends. And it's a practice that while we can explore while engaging with people from other countries, it's also going to become very helpful in navigating the differences within our country. When I was on sabbatical, I only had one sabbatical in my life. And I'm pretty old, so. I lived in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia. And one day, while I was visiting a hospital, the head nurse thought I was a visiting physician. I'm just an engineer. And so took me to meet their other visiting physician, a neurosurgeon and a dentist from North Korea. Never met anyone from North Korea in my life. So we got to know each other, first over coffee, then we had pizza. And it was amazing to get to know this couple, because their normal was so different from my normal, and it was just as well. For them it was, wow, in Addis Ababa there is electricity almost every day. And for me it was like, every day the electricity go missing. What's wrong? But at the end of the day, they had their kids, they had their life balance, and they lived their just very normal life. They could do great impact. A neurosurgeon in Addis Ababa is not a very common type of specialty. And it created some of my most memorable experiences, and it really helped me understand that you don't have to live life the way we live it here to be just as happy and to be just as impactful. So with that, I think that only by living our own homes and our own countries, we can meet other people's normals and learn from them. And this is precisely why we want to offer international experiences to all of our students. And with that, without further ado, I want to introduce President Santa Ono, who is here every year to recognize our awardees, and we are delighted to welcome him again. Thank you so much, President Ono.
Well, good morning, everyone. And Valeria, thank you so much for those remarks and everything that you do for engaged learning at the University of Michigan. I got to tell you that I have the honor and privilege of talking with people around the world about the University of Michigan. And it's the engaged learning in multiple aspects, study abroad, and our international students that are here that really distinguish the university from many other institutions. And I meet alumni everywhere that talk about their experiences, their student mobility, and the impact that it has had on their lives, just as it's had on your own life. I got to tell you, I've only had one sabbatical, and I am much older than you, so. But thanks for that. And thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. I was just remarking this morning how this is a joyous occasion. In fact, this is my third PADSI awardee ceremony, so that's how I can keep track of how long I've been here. But one of the first things I did when I first arrived was to be part of this. And here we are to celebrate two extraordinary individuals, Andrew Lawler and Emily Wang. What they have done for this institution in terms of engaged learning is simply remarkable. We wouldn't be the institution we are today were it not for them. They have impacted thousands of lives. They have attracted millions of dollars in support to make it possible for us to expand these opportunities for our students and to become the kind of institution that we are today. Since its inception in 2017, the PADSE Awards have celebrated the extraordinary efforts of faculty and staff to advance international education for University of Michigan students. And it is, as I said, a vital part of a great university, an international university. And as you know, I am a son of immigrants, parents, and international education defines us. My father came here at a relatively young age, and we stayed here. He talks about the impact of, he's a mathematician, great mathematicians from India, but from all over the world, from Moscow, as well as the United States, where we have settled and we now call home. That's why these awards are so important to me personally, and why I'm so proud of the University of Michigan. For we are, as I said, a proudly international university. It's a vital part of our heritage. If you look back at the history of the University of Michigan, you'll see relatively early on in our history, students from all over the world choosing the University of Michigan. For example, you may or may not know that Yoko Ono's grandfather got a degree at the University of Michigan. No connection between me and Yoko. If that were the case, I could bring even more money to the university. But this past academic year, we were joined by nearly 13,000 international students, scholars, staff, and faculty representing 132 nations. And every year, nearly 5,000 University of Michigan students engage in study abroad in more than 100 countries around the globe. And the diversity of nations where our students choose to travel is exceptional. And I'm very, very happy to see that the students who actually come here, international students, are coming from a diverse, ever-diverse set of nations. And all of these students and the faculty that interact with them gain from that. They gain new knowledge, new insights, new perspectives, broadening their worldviews, enriching their growth, and increasing future opportunities. Many of them, impacted by study abroad, will actually settle in a nation that wasn't where they decided they thought they would be when they arrived at the university. And that's why, through this strategic planning process, that I wasn't surprised that it actually percolated to the surface as one of the areas that we should focus on in the next decade to build upon this strong foundation. And as you know, one of the thematic areas which we have as an institution decided to really focus on in the next 10 years with real investments is life-changing education in our plan, Vision 2034, which is committed to enhancing for students the opportunities for international education and experiences, and also strategically growing the international nature of our student body. And that came not from me, that didn't come from Valeria, it came from the almost 30,000 individuals who provided input about what you would like to see the university focus on in the next decade. So I want to thank you for that clear message that we got through those interactions, and I think it's something that illustrates how important this is to the entire university community. I want to just convey to you what is meant by just a short title, Life-Changing Education. There are two aspects of it, if I understand correctly. One is that we hope that the education that students receive here will change their lives. But we also hope, the second part, that the education they receive here will empower students and graduates to change wherever they might settle and change the lives of those in the communities where they end up becoming leaders, heads of state, physicians, government officials, academics, all sectors that we populate from those who graduate from this institution. So that's what's meant by life-changing education, and it really resonates with me. And that's the whole purpose of education, is to be transformative to the lives of not only the students that are here, but their families, but also the communities where they will eventually work and live. And so we are proud at the University of Michigan that this is going to be a focus in the next decade. It is something that defines our history. And today we are here to honor two people who have really made the University of Michigan what it is today, and to create a firm foundation that we will do even more with respect to life-changing education through student mobility and also welcoming international students to this campus. And it's for that reason that we have the President's Awards for Distinguished Service in International Education. I'd like to ask each of them, as they're already on stage, to eventually share their experiences, which will be really, I think, fascinating to all of you. I know that both of these recipients have huge fan clubs in the audience. I was able to meet with them, and I can see how much love and pride there is in each of you in knowing these two recipients. I want to start with Andrew Lawler, who has spent some time here at the University of Michigan in a variety of capacities. Andrew is recently retired as director of the Global MBA Projects program and also taught at the Ross School of Business, Entrepreneurship and Strategy, which you might have heard the Ross School is going to be on the West Coast as well.
Very, very exciting.
As well as here in Michigan. Very excited about that. It's quite a beautiful building. Pretty excited, yeah? Are you going to have the top office there, Dean? It's pretty exciting, and that really will, I think, enhance connectivity from an international sense. As you know, that is there's quite a bit of traffic to the Pacific Rim, and that location, I think, will make the Michigan education, executive MBA and beyond, available to many more people globally, and really proud of that leadership. Let's give the Dean a round of applause. Andrew's incredible contributions to international business education at the University of Michigan spans, as I said, 3 decades, from 1994 until last month when he retired. His approach was based in experiential learning that emphasizes the importance of real-world applications. By engaging his students in live projects, he ensured that they faced genuine business and cultural challenges that enhanced their understanding and decision-making skills. And I can tell you from talking to people who've experienced study abroad trips with him here, that he also, they knew, really cared about them as human beings. During his time at University of Michigan, Andrew has provided essential guidance to almost 3,300 MBA students on nearly 700 different projects spanning the globe. I bet you, Valeria, he didn't have time for a sabbatical either. But the true measure of his impact is far greater, for those students will go on, and they have, to new projects, new business relationships, new mentorships with other individuals around the globe. And Andrew will have had a hand in each of these new stories, each of these careers, each of these lives, impacting not only them, but their families and those that they interact with. Let's thank Andrew with a round of applause, and please join me on stage so that we can present to you an award, the Presidential Award. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll make it up there. Thank you, Jim. Oh, let me get the cane out of the way. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, sure. So this is not a travel injury, unfortunately. No, it's been, this is a remarkable appearance today because I've been on faculty for 43 years in 3 different disciplines: chemical engineering, entrepreneurship, and 31 years in international business. And to get an award for being a frequent flyer is the best. And also going to 42 countries with over 2,000 students, and I think I only had 2,000, you had 3,000, so it may be, can keep track, in three completely different parts of the university. I ran the Davidson Institute Summer Internship Program for 10 years, and we went everywhere with Bill Davidson's money. And then with really good funding from people like Stan Frankel and Ron Weiser, we traveled the world for 31 years, particular emphasis on Israel because Stanley wanted to have us work with the Startup Nation. So we sent literally 2,000 students to Israel, but Ron Weiser's money took us to Africa, took us to Asia. And then corporate sponsorships were amazing. They wanted to participate, so Whirlpool took students to 32 projects in 28 countries. And Tim, you went to Australia, I think, right? And Citibank, we had a line item budget of $60,000 a year from their foundation for a long time, American Express. It just was wonderful to have that type of corporate support and alumni support. So it couldn't happen without that. And there's some administrators who literally bought thousands of tickets and processed thousands of visa applications so they could get on the plane. So it's been an absolute joy to do that. So to get some recognition for it is really humbling. And, it's been a great life. And I did only retire literally last month, but I'm going to continue to work on bringing in projects and keep the funding going. And some of the people like Ron Weiser has given, I think, a new leadership gift to continue my work that's going to be announced with the fall campaign. So he's been a great supporter, and he'll provide money to the Office of Action-Based Learning, and they'll be able to do this, and I'll continue to get projects for them. And it's just been a great honor to be part of the university. I came here thinking I'd stay for 4 or 5 years, like a lot of students. In 56 years, I'm still here. And chemical engineering, I left that far behind, but I did teach in chemical engineering for a while. So it's been a crazy life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So thank you very much for that, and thank you.
Thank you for those remarks and everything that you've done, Andrew. And you're absolutely right about Ron Weiser. His name is everywhere on this campus. And as you know, in addition to the support of your programs, he just announced a gift yesterday for $25 million for a breast cancer center to match his prostate cancer center. It's pretty remarkable. So he's not here. He's
I invited him, but that's okay.
He's actually abroad. Otherwise, I'm sure
I think he's in Florence.
He's in France. He's
France.
in Paris.
Moving around.
But maybe on his way to Florence. I don't know. But anyway, that's how much all of them really support international education. I'm delighted to introduce our second award recipient, Emily Wan, Assistant Director of the Office of International Affairs at the University of Michigan at Dearborn. Emily has served with the University of Michigan for almost 30 years and is being recognized today for her commitment to enhancing international education programs to better support intercultural exchanges and international student life. It's such important work since international students now represent 10% of the campus population at the University of Michigan, Dearborn, and those numbers are growing. Emily works directly with international scholars every day, providing expert advice and support, and also leads University of Michigan Dearborn's Office of International Affairs in creating social events, workshops, and information sessions. I sense there might be some international food at some of those social events. Please let me know when you have another one. Her work educates, inspires, and empowers, increasing understanding, fostering friendships, and transforming the lives of students and scholars worldwide. So thank you, Emily. Congratulations. Please join me for a photo, and then please grace us with some remarks from you.
Thank you so much, President Ono and Vice Chancellor Mercado. Good morning, distinguished guests. Thank you so much for being here and celebrating with me. And also some of my friends there in live stream, and including my family in Taiwan. Thank you, Francisco Trista, Provost Galata. Thank you so much for your leadership and your support to make all this happen. I'm just so honored and be happy and then just humble being here. And my colleagues in the international Affairs and International Center. Thank you for always being there, answering questions and support students. And Dr. Martha Elder, she's my inspiration. Thank you so much for being here. And Dr. Monica Porter, thank you. And you always teach me no fears, changing, just take the challenge, no fears there. And thank you both of you for traveling far and being here. Over the years, I asked myself, what is the best part of my job? There are two things. Of course, the first thing is about people, the people around me, and I learn from people. And the second thing is watching our students succeed. And we have some students here, my former students, they're here. And I have a current student who just arrived in the United States. She's from Kenya, and she's here with us as well. And I'm just so honored that they will be able to be here. And also, my students, they graduated, and they're my Michigan family. And they take university's degree, and they go out and change people's life, and they raise their family. And for that, I'm just so proud of all the students. And this is a good time to thank also my friend Don. He used to hire international students, and he taught students about American culture and the work environments. These students, for them, is a first experience being working in the United States. And there one time in his lab, he has students from Lebanon, from Germany, from France, from Italy, and from India, from China, and working, of course, American students, all working together. They provide services to the universities. And I have to mention our retired provost, Simpson. He cannot be here today. He established the international affairs, and he was the one that put me into this career path. Dr. Simpson and his wife, Mrs. Simpson, both of them, they always host their students, international students, at their home. And I remember Mrs. Simpson, she knit hats, gloves, scarves for international students. For that, I just cannot say thank you enough to them. It takes the whole village to raise a kid. It takes a lot of people in this university to help our students succeed. University of Michigan Dearborn has unique challenges. We have internationals take Uber to take classes to come to the school. And many students, they have family responsibilities. Study abroad may not be feasible for them. There are many activities led by universities' leaders, such as Experiences Plus and University of Michigan Detroit Center. There are more than 50 different programs that enhance student success. It is our responsibility to guide students to find their ways. There's still much more to be done, such as increasing students' mobility, internship opportunities, research exchange opportunities, and many topics need to be addressed, such as mental health issue, because mental health can be seen differently in different cultures. As a university, we make efforts to make education possible for all students. We offer scholarships and make education affordable. We have a student this summer, she went study abroad. All her expenses, they were all covered by her scholarships. And this is what we meant, to change a student's life, and then in the future, they would change other people's life. The world is big and could be so small as well. Through knowledge exchanges, we all appreciate more for differences. As President Ono said, through international education, we understand deeper, we see further, and we reach higher. This recognition means a lot to me, which also means that I need to continue paying forward to many others in this position. Again, thank you so much for all for your continued support.
I think you can see why these two were recognized and picked for this award. Exceptional people, inspirational people. I have to leave now. I know that you're going to hear more from them on this panel discussion, I think. But I just wanted to say something. I like metaphors. It's funny because I'm an immunologist. I'm not a humanist. But I wanted to say that I just came from a little bit more than 2 years ago now from the University of British Columbia in Canada. I don't know if you've ever been there. If you haven't, you should go. It's beautiful. And one of the things that you get to see when you're there are these beautiful birds that are revered both north and south of the border called bald eagles. Where the President's house was situated on the UBC campus, there was a nest of eagles. And if you look at the eagles when they're first born, they can't fly. They're not, you can't tell they're going to develop into these remarkably large, almost this tall, if you actually see them up close, bald eagles, that eventually soar to the almost the tips of snow-capped mountains, soar over the beaches of Point Grey and other parts of the city. And I kind of think about that metaphor when I think about what's happening here. You know, we have students that are at formative stages on all three campuses. And as Emily said, it's our job to nurture them, to help them develop, help the wings unfurl, learn to fly, and to go on to inspire people all over the world. You know, I'm looking at some very young ones here in the center table. I hope that you will choose the University of Michigan. This is not an admissions office thing, but so that you can be those bold eagles, that you can develop and experience, study abroad, be part of engaged learning, and soar and inspire the rest of the world. Congratulations to both of our recipients. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So now we are transitioning to the next part of our program. We're going to have a panel, as you can see up there. And the panel will be discussing what crossing international borders can teach us about pluralism. Pluralism is an important concept in an election year, in our year of democracy, civic and global engagement, because pluralism is about coexistence. Two or more states, groups, principle, no matter how different, coexisting. The Oxford Dictionary defines pluralism as a form of society in which members of minority groups maintain their independent cultural traditions. And as I thought about this definition of pluralism, I began to wonder, are there contexts where trying to settle our differences causes us to overlook potentially richer and more profound experiences than simply accepting them? The reals of education and business have each made compelling practical cases for crossing chasms of difference in culture, worldview, and values. This year, the Presidential Award winners are trailblazers in this endeavor, and I'm delighted to share the stage with Andy and with Emily Wang in this panel. But I'm also pleased to welcome two other esteemed colleagues. Professor Gabriella Scarlatta, who is the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs at U of M Dearborn. She's also a professor of French, and she's a strong champion for global education, having taught foreign languages and taken students abroad for almost 20 years. We should see your nomination soon. Ambassador Susan Page is Professor of Practice in International Diplomacy at the Ford School of Public Policy and also in the Law School. She has a deep expertise in international relations, having served as the first U.S. ambassador to South Sudan and in other senior level roles before coming to Michigan. So what we would like to discuss with our guest is how differences are not always obstacles, but sometimes they're opportunities, both at home and abroad. Sometimes comical misunderstandings that occur in international education and business, and how they uncover universal needs in people from around the world, in the classroom and in the boardroom. So I'm going to ask you some questions now. Maybe I'm going to sit with
Some questions.
Yes, I'm going to ask them some questions, and then I'm going to open the floor for you to ask questions, so be prepared. So, Emily, international students bring such rich diversity to our campuses. How can we best connect international and domestic students so they can learn and appreciate from each other?
Well, it's a great opportunity to do some homework before you travel, to do some research on the countries, to do some research on the culture. So we try to give that type of background before they ever think about getting on a plane. And then we want active engagement when they're in the country. So it's not just a travel course. It is a strategy course. It's a market development course, a market entry course. Some of the sponsors are buying companies in South Africa and Slovakia, and we're helping them do that. And it's a matter of taking their core courses in the business school and making them come alive in a country that maybe they've been to before, but probably haven't been to before. And that background that they're getting is going to be with them for the rest of their life. They make an impact for the companies that they worked with. For Whirlpool, we created a model called the Stages of Development Model, which they've used to buy companies in 30 countries. And our students did it in South Africa, they did it in Slovakia, they did it around the world. And when we reported back to the chairman of Whirlpool, they used that as part of the decision support to whether they should buy, grow, or maybe exit the country. And we went to Russia 3 times, we could never figure out Russia. No one can, but we couldn't figure out Russia with Boris Yeltsin, with the current guy, and we went 3 times and we didn't make any impact. But it's been amazing engaged learning to have them really do something in the field and not just do a study tour, not just do a cultural engagement, but culture is important. And we give them some really good tools on cultural engagement too. So it's just been a joy to do that, and I don't know what we do next, but we keep doing it. So thank you.
Thank you. Emily, what's your experience of what students learn from each other between domestic and international students?
Our domestic students, they actually grew up in multicultural families. And our international students, of course, they come from different countries, different places. When they come here, it's amazing to see they evolve themselves in different stages. First of all, of course, they come here, they wanted to find people that similar to them. They wanted to find people that have the same kind of program because they are hungry for learning the new system, getting the new information, how to be compliant here, all these things that they need to settle. Even just a cell phone, they have to find that. Of course, they always call them my seniors. I wanted to go to my seniors to find information. And the second stage, they start going to classes. And when they go to classes, they start meeting people, different people. And of course, that when they go to classes, and also universities are so big on creating all different kinds of activities for them. And then they go to the activities, and student organization is very powerful as well. And then we encourage them to attend classes and attending different activities. They have their own group. They start meeting people. And just 2 days ago, I was walking on campus, and this kid, he's 17 years old, he was walking with all his friends already, and he was calling me out, and I couldn't recognize him because he looks different when the first day when I met him on Zoom. And so this is amazing, and these students, they are so resilient. And I do find the personality, of course, plays in the students' characteristics. If they are curious, and they have this curiosity, they want to learn different things. So they want to go out and be engaged. And also we have sometimes as educator and also administrator, we have to be purposely connect them together. For example, I have a student who is applying for a Fulbright, English teaching assistant, and he is going to Bahrain. And I happen to have a student from Bahrain, and he is a Fulbright through the same kind of program. So I have to purposely say, you need to talk to these people. And like French club, and you know that French club, we have domestic students, they want to learn French. So we happen to have some French students or French-speaking students. We need to put them together. So this is how we connect them together. And the rest of all, it becomes a history. They have their wings and they start flying, so we don't have to worry about them.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah.
Gabriella, the French Club. So, we are surrounded by borders.
Yes.
You helped many, many students cross borders.
Yes.
And as a provost, what do you think is our responsibility in supporting our students to cross as many borders as possible before they graduate?
Right. So I think that our responsibility as educators, especially at this wonderful institution, going back to what President Ono said, including the fact that he declared this year the year of, amongst other things, global, right, engagement, global education, is to teach our students, to treat our students as citizens of the world. I think this is an important concept of learning to become citizens of the world. The world is a small place full of borders, but it is our job as educators to take down these borders. I mean, think about it just this year alone, the word borders, how politically, violently charged it is. It is our job to take down these borders. And it happens when students cross those borders, right? So when I take students abroad, mainly this France trip, study abroad, which is France's sites of memory, we visit all of the most important historical and cultural sites for French people, right? So you're thinking about the Renaissance Castle, the Place de la Bastille, the Revolution, the Square of the Revolution, etc. The Roman ruins with the Roman Empire coming up, right, and conquering La Gaule, which was France, and the Normandy beaches, right? So all the way up to the 20th century, World War II, they really realize that they are different people. Anytime they go to France, either on this trip or other trips, or also when they take a trip by themselves, they might go 6 weeks to France to improve their French. At the Sorbonne South, they always come back and they say, Madame, I didn't realize I was so strong. I didn't realize the person I was. I was there, I was by myself, surrounded by French people. I didn't know how to communicate, and little by little, I just realized how strong I am. And so I really see this transformation with the students and how we are able to help them break down borders. I think that that's important. It is very important to teach how similar we are. It is also important to teach how different we are, because by teaching this difference, our students understand the why and how we became different, right? Why we eat this and they don't, or vice versa. Why they wear this, but we don't, right? Why we say, and of course, I'm a professor of French too, so language to me is very important, and so to also teach the tricks behind the language. Why do we say in English, you drive me crazy, something that nobody else does, right? All of those things are also important. But the important thing, I think, is really to see the transformation in our students, as Emily says. And we really need to do a great job, especially as we talked often with Valeria, who's incredibly committed to get our students to go abroad. I want to thank my team who's here, Scott, right, Emily, Francisco, Trista with International Studies, to help our students cross those borders. I mean, our student population in Dearborn, as Emily said, is different. We often hear our students say that they not only have the money to travel abroad, but they cannot afford to not work, because by leaving a week and they cannot work, that money goes toward tuition, paying the car insurance, helping their families, right? And so we really are making an effort to help them more, find more scholarship, find more external, collaborators that help us make those trips possible. So I have a lot of things to say, but I know that probably I'm out of
Let me
time.
just say that one of the cornerstones of our strategic plan is to encourage more of the people that wouldn't think about going abroad because of their personal situation to go abroad. And we are trying to work to secure some funding for this type of activity. Funding is only the first step. Also, the mindset has to evolve to, yes, I can do it. Right?
I can do it. Thank you.
So let me tell you a little bit about Ambassador Page. She was an undergraduate student here at the University of Michigan. And
Go Blue!
During her undergraduate studies, she went to spend a year in Scotland at St. Andrews. And I think she must have fallen in love with going abroad right then, because then after law school, she went to live in Nepal. Then she became a diplomat. She lived all around Africa. She lived in Haiti. And ultimately, she became the ambassador for South Sudan. And so my question to you is, through all these experiences that started when you were very young, what did you learn about navigating differences? And how did your approach to that change as you became more and more experienced in being abroad?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to our two recipients. For me, I knew from a very early age that I wanted to live abroad. I was very lucky. My mom was also an educator, and we had foreign exchange students come and spend, my mom was a social worker and sociologist, and so we had exchange students. They were waiting for their social work placements. And so it wasn't, they weren't there for a year, but several weeks. And so I already had a taste for international things. And I loved, my mom loves to cook. She's a fabulous cook. And she and the students would always introduce us to their cultural foods. And so that was something she took to her students and that I used in my diplomacy. So as a student, of course, it was about me, right? I was a kid. So I wanted to experience. And I don't think I realized as a younger person how much I was going to receive. And so I actually studied my senior year. So I did 3 years here, and because I was an out-of-state student, so tuition, room and board was kind of expensive. And so I applied to study abroad my junior year, but then I received an RA position at Mosher Jordan, in case anyone's interested, after having lived on North Campus in Bursley my first 2 years and being bused to school. But so I decided I wanted to do that. And then I thought, well, there's nothing really holding me back from going my senior year. Of course, all my friends are like, what are you thinking about? That's crazy. So, but I did. And so now I use that with my students here to say, there isn't something that holds you back from going, you have to find the right program, make sure that it is your credits are going to transfer, or, you know what, you're young, you have 1 extra year or 1 extra semester, if you can afford it, if you can put all the things together, isn't going to cost you. Those friends of mine from St. Andrews, we get together at least every 5 years, but every few years, and they're all over the world. Most of them now still live in the UK, but one of my close friends was also in the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office, so she was also a Foreign Service officer. We traded stories all the time, and it's been just so much fun to get together with them over the years and see how much we've changed and how much that core has remained the same. And then I would just say in my professional life, living overseas, it's exactly what everyone has said. It's important to understand the cultural tectones and understand that while some foods might be ew, gross, this is something we do. In other cultures, it's completely appropriate, and having that ability to just flip the switch and say, well, that's not something that we eat or do. And I'll just give one quick example, like eating impani worms in southern Africa. And you have to do it if you're visiting a village and you are invited to the table, whatever that delicacy is, but also understanding that in different cultures, finishing your plate is really a great sign that you are full, you've had enough. Of course, not using that word in French, because being full in French means you're pregnant.
Yes. That's right.
Yes, definitely riding the world of culture there.
Right. But in other cultures, you finish your plate, that means you have not had enough, you have not been sated, and so another plate comes out. So you think that, okay, I've swallowed this thing that is culturally difficult, but now they're bringing me another plate of the same thing. So I think language, culture, understanding all of those differences, and just how enriching that is. And the last point I will make is, as a lawyer, in trying to either negotiate or tell people about good governance, rule of law, is I try to center it along the constitution of the country so that I'm not looking as if I'm bringing American values and culture, like you must do this because this is the right way, but rather, and I'm not naive, I know a lot of these constitutions were sort of imposed and dropped on them, but they've also had 50, 60, 70, or many more years to change them, and countries have done that. But I try to center it in what is actually their own rules of law and say, well, but it's not just me saying this because I'm American and these are our cultural values. It's actually in your own constitution that you are meant to respect free speech or the ability to gather. And that's what I try to encourage people to do, including the leadership of foreign countries.
Fantastic. Do we have questions from the audience? You were not preparing. Okay, then I have another question.
We do have one.
Where? Thank you.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Masi Toom, and I'm from Kenya. I'm Zurisana. Thank you so much. So I'd like to know the challenges that you guys faced, because you've done so much in a really long time. I'm guessing there has been that big hurdle. But I'd like to know that and like what you did to overcome that. Yeah.
What has been your challenge and what you've done to overcome
I
that?
think we have some challenges.
For all of us.
I think that Emily mentioned that mental health, right? We've had some study abroad trips in which students had some difficulties processing or some difficulties that they brought from the States there, and then they weren't able to suppress them. So I think that is a big challenge for faculty who take students abroad. It's one thing, it's really hard to have those challenges here in your own country, but imagine in a foreign country with different language. I think that I applaud Valeria's efforts in getting passports to our students. We realized when we faced these challenges that the student abroad was the only one in their family that had a passport, meaning the mom, the dad, the sister, the brother could not go abroad because they didn't have a passport. So I think that also is a challenge, and we need to do better there to educate not just the students, but also the families. Hey, if you have a student going abroad, one of you should have a passport in case. So
You may scare them when you do that.
yeah, true. But yeah, so that's one of the challenges that I encounter. I don't know about my colleagues.
Well, as administrator, our challenge is always how to get more money from the provost, the budget, how to meet the budget. Right. And personally, for me, the challenge is students' names. Some students' names are so long, and when you pronounce the name, when they tell you that, just call me Richard, and then I know I pronounced it incorrectly. And like Mercy, her last name is Tom, right? So I said, do I pronounce Tom or Tom, right? So she has to correct me. That's my challenge. We have students from different countries, and the name is just, and then when they receive the government documents, they will come to see me, said, my name is wrong. They did not spell the whole name. I have like 20 characters. And so I have to explain to them the limited space for them, and this is okay. So that's my personal challenge there.
Well, there are a lot of dilemmas that we have to handle, and some of them are culture, and some of them are travel. Patrick Morgan, where are you at? He is my savior. In very many of the countries we went to, we have to do a group safety plan that is really important, and he is my guidepost. He approves it. He helps me edit it. We have to know where hospitals are. We have to know where embassies are, and we have to make sure they're safe. So we launch them. But we don't go to them, maybe with a team for 1 week, and they're there for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or in the summer for 12 weeks. And we didn't have Zoom back then, so we're faxing. But it's with that safety net is really important. And the dilemma is culture, too. They have to be respectful. They have to learn as they go. They have to maybe think a lot before they speak. And we're trying to give them a little coaching, but they have to internalize it, just like you said. And we've had good successes, and we've had some faux pas, and we've had some silly anecdotes. But for the most part, it's worked. But Patrick you've been with me for 20-some years, and some of the countries we went to, we had to go deep research for the group safety plan, and you approved it, thank you. But and then we had to make sure that we executed that group safety plan. But the dilemmas are not just business and not just culture, but a combination of everything, and you have to be ready for the unexpected.
I'll try to be brief because clearly I'm not. I would say that for me, one of the biggest challenges has been, okay, so you talked about being an administrator and money raising or supporting students. For me, it's been when people are in country where, not necessarily only as the ambassador, but sometimes I was, the consular officer, and guess what? An American citizen gets arrested or detained. We have staff personnel, people at the embassy itself, who are behaving poorly. And the assumptions that go into that, especially in some of the countries where I've lived, like their assumptions might be one thing about what American men are like, and American men might have assumptions about what the women in, and it's not always women actually, but what the people of that culture are like. And so kind of helping to navigate that, but also holding people to account and, responsible, accountable. As a diplomat, you represent, in my case, the US government, or you're an international civil servant with the United Nations. There's a standard, and that has to be kept, because once trust is lost, it's almost impossible to get back.
Thank you, Susan. So drop your stereotypes as you go abroad, basically. Absolutely. So with that, I would like to thank once again, our awardees, Emily and Andy. And I really want to thank all of you for coming here to celebrate them this morning. And I hope I will see you next year again. Thanks.
Congratulations. How many countries?